So let's take a look back at this day in history. 50 years ago today, when McDonald's officially rolled out the Egg McMuffin breakfast sandwich, all of its restaurants worldwide across the U.S. And it proved to be a revelation for the fast food industry, which at the time was heavily skewed to lunch and dinner customers. But there was a man, Scarlet Fu, his name was Herb Peterson. He's a hero. And he had an idea. He wasn't a cook and he had no background in restaurants. He was an ad man. And in the 1960s, he helped manage DRC Advertising's biggest account, which was McDonald's. And Peterson, who actually helped to create the Ronald McDonald mascot, he was so taken by this fast-growing fast food chain, he decided to become a franchisee himself. He opened locations around the greater Santa Barbara, California area all across the 1960s and 70s. And during that time, he noticed something funny. Customers were showing up to his restaurants well before the 11 a.m. opening time looking for a meal. So Peterson thought, what could he offer them for breakfast that would have the same handheld convenience of a hamburger? Menus at McDonald's at the time were very sparse, just hamburgers, fries, apple pies, and fountain drinks. But Peterson saw an opportunity to broaden out, taking his favorite breakfast food, Eggs Benedict, and turning it into a sandwich by replacing the hollandaise sauce with a slice of cheese and swapping in Canadian bacon for the ham. And here's a fun fact. During this development process, he consulted with none other than California native Julia Child, who was busy with her own burgeoning food empire out east. Now, the McMuffin went through several years of testing before being rolled out nationwide on this day back in 1975. At the time, it was served with jam or honey. And the McMuffin instantly boosted sales and prompted executives at McDonald's to experiment with more diverse menu items like hash browns, like Danishes, even fruit juice. And it all forced other competitors like Burger King to enter the breakfast market as well. Today, breakfast accounts for about 25% of McDonald's store sales, with the company saying it has to buy around 2 billion eggs, billion with a B, each year in the U.S. to fuel those appetites.
That number is staggering, and I can't believe Julia Child contributed to the invention of
I know, who knew?
Okay, well, speaking of eggs, you could say consumers are cracking under the pressure of rising costs. I know. The average wholesale price has doubled to a record $8.07 a dozen from mid-December. And of course, that's due to a shortage driven by the worst ever bird flu outbreak in the U.S. Joining us now with his expertise is Tom Flocco. Tom is the CEO of Pete & Gerry's, which offers organic, free-range, and pasture-raised eggs. Tom, good to speak with you. Your eggs are a premium product and command a higher price than commodity eggs. What's been the direct and indirect impact from this current bird flu outbreak on your eggs?
Yeah, good afternoon. Thank you for having me. It's probably important to start with just an understanding that there really are two separate egg segments out there. There's what we call the commodity eggs, which are caged and cage-free, that are really feeling the brunt of the inflation that we're all experiencing out in the grocery stores. And that is, as you said in your introduction, a function of the fact that over 30 million birds have been culled from the supply chain in the last 6 weeks or so, and certainly more than that over the course of the past year because of avian influenza. That has driven the price up. Those eggs are priced based on Urner Barry, which is an independent index, and that has skyrocketed over the course of the last 6 to 8 months. Our eggs, Pete & Gerry's and Nellie's, which are of the specialty segment, different than the commodity, are actually the same price today as they were a year ago to the retailer. So we have not raised price to the retailer. We have a set price, just like most other consumer products items, and we've kept that price steady. We are not subject to the same supply and demand dynamics as the commodity players. So that's what we're seeing. So our eggs, in some cases, our eggs are actually lower price right now
I was just
on the shelf than the commodity egg.
Absolutely. Yeah. It would be cheaper than a lot of the eggs out there. It may not have a direct impact on your pricing, but doesn't the shortage of eggs, commodity eggs, have an impact on demand for your eggs?
Absolutely, because that's why we're called specialty eggs. Consumers, there's typically a $3 to $4 price premium on our eggs. So there are consumers that believe in hen welfare, that believe that that leads to a better product as well as a happier bird, and they're willing to pay that premium. Today, when that premium is gone or almost gone, it's a lot easier for consumers to reach for the premium product. They experience our product and realize that it's better than the commodity egg. And in a lot of cases, our studies show that they don't go back. So yes, as soon as our eggs are hitting the shelf, they're gone. And we're doing our best to keep up. Unfortunately, this is a fairly long supply chain to correct. It takes about a year to bring hens on a new barn on with a new farmer, and we're doing that on a rapid pace. But it's just very hard to keep up given the demand dynamics right now.
I am curious, though, about the bird flu, the avian influenza. You mentioned the 30 million birds or so over just the last few weeks. I think I saw a number, something more than 100 million since the bird flu was first identified back in 2022. Why has that not affected your farms in the way that it's affected others?
Yeah, so that gets back to the difference in the supply chain model. So we work with small family farms. Our farms are spread out over 15 states. We have close to 300 of those family farms. They are family farms, so people are not coming on and off property. And the birds are very well insulated from just the dynamics around them. They tend to be smaller barns. We have more barns with fewer birds. So we're dispersed from the risk. The barns that get, or the complexes really that get hit hard, are the caged and cage-free players. And cage-free birds do not get outside. Free-range birds like Nellies do. And when you have campuses that have hundreds of thousands and potentially millions of birds, when you hear about a million, 2 million, 3 million birds being taken out, that's when a campus gets hit. And avian influenza is such a virulent strain that it spreads very quickly and will unfortunately infect all of the chickens. So you have massive numbers taken out of the supply chain, and that's really what we're having a hard time keeping up with.
I am curious just about consumer sentiment overall, even if this doesn't affect your brands specifically here. There's been so much focus on this by consumers, and I do wonder if you worry at all that demand overall for eggs could actually go down as people sort of look at prices and then maybe find, alternative ways to, eat breakfast or do whatever they were doing with eggs. Is that a worry at all for you?
We don't worry too much about it, again, because we've kept our pricing consistent. So we're offering that value to the consumer today. And we're hoping that they realize that eggs are still nature's perfect protein. It's still a superfood that consumers can have for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and is still, on a gram for gram basis, a better value than really any other source of animal protein out there. So it's while it's more expensive now in the commodity area, it still represents a value at $6.99 or $7.99, which is what you might pay for one of the Pete and Gerry's brands, or $5.99 for Nellies if you see that on the shelf.
All right, well, that's a price I can live with, given what I've seen on the shelves as of late. Tom, great to talk to you. Tom Flocco, the CEO of Pete and Gerry's. Everyone out there, everyone who's gone to a grocery store is right now focused on the price of those eggs and really just the availability of those eggs as well. And some people are actually just deciding to take matters into their own hands. Let's bring in our next guest here. It's a company called Rent the Chicken. It lets customers rent hens along with all of the supplies required to maintain the chickens, like the coop and the feed. In turn, customers can expect to receive between 8 to 28 eggs per week. Jenn Tompkins joins us right now. She's the co-founder of Rent the Chicken. All right, this is an interesting concept. I'm not in the market for it because I live in a New York City apartment. But for those of us who have the space and maybe the willpower to do it, I mean, how easy is it, Jenn, to get something like this set up?
We make it so easy. Honestly, we have this top 10 reasons to rent the chicken that comes out every spring. And spoiler alert, we make it easy is one of those top 10 reasons. So
just explain. So if I contact you, you're going to give me the coops, the supplies, everything I need to sort of get things up and running. And just forgive my ignorance here. I'm just, a poor city boy. But when did the chickens start giving me my eggs?
Great question. We provide a portable chicken coop with 2 to 4 egg-laying hens. The rental is from spring until fall, so think April through October or May to November. 2 hens lay about a dozen eggs a week. We plan our rentals for April in September or October, so we buy our baby chicks then or hatch our chicks then, and they are ready to lay come springtime. So they should start laying within a few days of delivery. Sometimes they lay when we're on our way.
So Romain goes on vacation a lot. He might not always be around to feed his chickens or the hens. How much maintenance is involved in this?
We ask that the portable coop is moved once a day and that the chickens are provided with their food and water, and then the eggs are collected. He seems like a pretty friendly guy, so most times a neighbor doesn't mind checking in on the chickens to collect the eggs.
So what kind of demand have you seen since the outbreak of this bird flu in late 2024 and early 2025? What's been, the take up on Rent the Chicken?
Our phones are ringing like mad. Our online inquiries are filling up quickly. Our rentals are up this time this year compared to last year. Now, keep in mind, we made the decision last fall what our prices would be for this year and what our availability would be. So we will run out of inventory. And in my world, that means we'll run out of chickens.
So have you not been affected at all by by this avian flu at all? Has that not affected your business?
Oh, it affected our business because people really want to be closer to their food sources. Our renters don't have to worry about the price of eggs, and they don't have to worry about any food shortages, like egg shortages or egg restrictions at the store. So that's the kind of impact that we have seen in regards to avian flu, because people really want to know where their food's coming from and be connected and not be impacted by these circumstances.
And Jen, forgive me for asking a really dumb question, but how, if I were to get Rent the Chicken, how would I prevent my chickens from getting the avian flu?
Oh, great question. We have major biosecurity measures in place, even when there's not an avian flu outbreak. And most times the avian flu is transmitted, if I understand correctly, through wild waterfowl. And a few things. They're usually done going wherever they need to go to or from by the time we deliver in April or May. The next thing is most of our renters don't have like geese or ducks traipsing through their properties. And we always recommend, of course, hand washing. We want to make sure everyone wears their chicken specific shoes for their own chickens and not let other people like into their chicken runs and those kind of things.